Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carla and I make videos about how I show up for myself in hopes of inspiring you to do the same. And by showing up for myself, I transformed my entire life, overhauled my mental health, changed careers, and basically changed every single aspect of my life for the better because I allowed myself to put myself first, which is something that we don't do. So hopefully I can inspire you to do the same. In today's video, I'm going to be chatting to you about 5 excuses or life-limiting beliefs or things I told myself that were the reason that I couldn't lose weight and that I actually realized were kind of life-limiting beliefs. They were lies, they were BS, to be perfectly honest with you. And I just want to have a chat quickly about this before I get into it. So first of all, some of them have a little bit of a medical reasoning behind them. I am not a medical professional and all 5 of these excuses pertain only to me. I am not saying that if you have any of these things that it is an excuse. I'm just saying that these are things that I was using as an excuse to write myself a sick note from doing the thing that I always wanted to do. What I find and what I've learned is that a lot of the time when we come up with an excuse or a reason, we say it's a reason, it's actually an excuse, is because we have fear. We have fear that we are not able to achieve the thing we want to do. We have fear that it might be painful or be too hard or too difficult, or we might have fear that we will achieve it and then what will we do when we do achieve it? So a lot of these things, a lot of times I find that excuses are wrapped up in fear and fear of the unknown, fear of what it's going to be like, and giving yourself an excuse, what we might constitute, what we might think is a reason, but is probably actually, when we look deep down and be honest with ourselves, is an excuse. And it's like a sick note for life. It is a sick note to, not achieve the things that we want to. It's a get out of jail free card for us. And so by sharing some of the things that I used as excuses until I had to get out of my own way in order to lose weight, I was hoping that this video will help you to kindly, and I always mean that, this is all about self-compassion. This is not about berating ourselves. There's enough hate in the world. We do not need to hate on ourselves, but we can be rigorously self-honest and start to examine our own behaviors, our limiting beliefs, and start to change that narrative in our head about our lives so that we can achieve the things that we want to achieve. A lot of the times these excuses as well can be seen as an obstacle. If you've ever seen me speak before about weight loss as a journey, I do not see it as a bandwagon that we fall off. I cannot stand the terminology "I fell off the wagon" when it comes to weight loss, because weight loss is not a confining, restrictive platform that is rolling. That's not what it is. And if you fall off, then you're off the path completely. I just see weight loss as that path that we walk. And actually anything that we want in our lives is at the end of this path that we want to get there. We want to get to the thing that is so compelling. And sometimes we forget about how compelling it is, but we want to get to that goal, whether it be to buy a house, whether it is in your career, whether it is to save €1 million, whatever it is, or to lose weight. When you are on a path, you walk one foot in front of the other. You might have potholes, you might trip up on them, you might have an obstacle in your path. There might be an avalanche has come down across that path, and that would be the excuse. What I used to see as excuses, but actually these are not excuses. They're challenges, and they are things that we have to overcome. They are things that we can find a way to overcome. I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be done because I'm living proof that it can be done. I was full of my life-limiting beliefs, or as Jared and Body Sims call them, your shitty stories. I was full of them. I had so many of them. Hopefully I'm going to be sharing with you and inspiring you to kindly examine your life-limiting beliefs and what you tell yourself is your narrative, and see maybe if you could change it, and maybe that it might not be true for you. First life-limiting belief or excuse that I had for not losing weight is that I had plantar fasciitis and 2 bulging discs. This is very specifically pertaining to me. However, it's really in terms of that I was not physically able to do it, is what I was telling myself. That I am physically unable to do any physical activity that is required to lose weight because I've got plantar fasciitis and I have 2 bulging discs, and therefore I'm not going to be able to do it. And plantar fasciitis, these are medical conditions. These are real things, but these are things that we can overcome. Of course, under the guise of a medical professional. It's really important, and I really, really want to reiterate that I'm not telling you that if you've got a bulging disc, get over yourself and get out there and walk. But what you can do is find a way to make it work for you. So what I did is I learned, first of all, what plantar fasciitis is, and it is so painful. And my bulging discs were healing by the time, they were nearly healed by the time that I started losing weight. But I was afraid of any injury. And that's that fear again, that fear coming into play. I was afraid that I was going to cause myself an injury. And so I, kind of gave myself a get out of jail free card. Well, I can't do that walking because of this and this. Plantar fasciitis, if you've ever had it, if you've experienced it, please let me know down in the comments down below and we can share our horror stories. But it basically feels like you have stood on a spike and it's going through your heels, and it is so painful. And basically it's just a contracted tendon or ligament under your foot that's pulled up, and a lot to do with your calf. Again, not medical professional, please seek medical advice for this, but a lot of stretching can work. So what I did is I knew that these were medical things, that I was not broken, that I was not physically unable. I had some kind of muscular issue. My bulging discs were okay, so I checked with my GP. He said, yeah, there's no reason you can't walk because you're not in pain anymore. And I was like, damn it. And then I learned about how I was going to work with my plantar fasciitis. And for me, I literally walked and stretched the plantar fasciitis out of me under the supervision of my GP and a physiotherapist who showed me stretches, who fitted me with orthotics, who helped me to literally stretch it out. My second excuse that I had for not being able to lose weight is that I was a food addict. Food addiction is quite kind of poo-pooed, I think, in the addiction world. But actually, I believe it's incredibly difficult to live with and incredibly difficult to overcome, because unlike other addictions, gambling, drugs, drink, sex, shopping, whatever it might be, you can probably live without all of those, but you can't live without food. You actually need to consume food. You don't need to drink a pint. But you do need to, unless you're Lemmy. I think if he gave up drink before he died, he would have died. But anyway, that's a very rare occasion. But you need to eat in order to survive. And I knew that this was, at the start, I used this as an excuse. But when I decided that I actually wanted to lose weight, I knew I was going to have to find a way to overcome this challenge. I was going to have to chip away through that boulder on my path, or hoist a rope and start pickaxing through an avalanche, whatever it is, in order to get through this challenge. And I did that through therapy. And then I realized and understood that food addiction was actually my coping mechanism. And then I needed to learn what I was coping from, and then replace that coping mechanism of food or food addiction and constantly needing to numb out with something else until I was able to heal from the trauma that caused me to be in that state. I'll leave my therapy video up here if you guys want to know more about that. But by learning that and getting through that with food addiction, with the help of therapy, with the help of journaling, I was able then to overcome that excuse and to change an excuse into a challenge and overcome it. Number 3 is that I continuously told myself and anyone else who would listen that I was supposed to be overweight. Nobody is supposed to be 23 stone. There are, of course, people who have issues with, medical conditions that cause them to bloat, or thyroid issues, or, reactions to drugs and things like that. But the general day-to-day woman in her early 30s who has no other underlying conditions, not taking any medication, no hereditary thing, is not supposed to be 23 stone or 323.8 pounds. Nobody is supposed to be that weight. I kept telling myself, maybe I'm supposed to be overweight. Maybe I'm just big boned. And it was something that was very difficult to overcome and to stop using as an excuse. This was really, I felt, was kind of a dig my heels in. This is my inner child talking here. This is kind of a nonsensical, illogical reasoning, for me. It was just kind of like, I'm supposed to be overweight, so it's fine. I didn't really believe it, but I still used it as an excuse. And that's actually something that I'll say with the 5 of them, is not to varying extents, is that I somewhat knew in myself, in deep down inside me, that these were excuses, that these were not real, that I was selling myself short. I kind of knew I was very, very, very in the deep down back, the gullies of my being. I knew that this wasn't real, but I was allowing myself to get away with it anyway. And I forgive myself for that, because it is really overwhelming. It's very difficult to get on this path, to do it. It is not easy. And especially when you don't know how, it can be very difficult. And I realize now, as somebody who is in a very average sized weight, very kind of standard, middle, healthy BMI, no, I wasn't supposed to be 23 stone. And the way that I did that was I had to actually get through that excuse and get over that and turn it into a challenge by self-actualization, by honestly having a little bit of faith. Having a little bit of faith that I was going to be able to do this, having a little bit of faith, and then, a little bit of motivation, a little bit of self-actualization, and actually doing the actions that I needed to help me to lose weight, to understand that weight was starting to come off, and therefore probably that's not what I was designed to be. Maybe I was designed to be a little bit bigger or a little bit, but I was not designed to be 23 stone. Excuse number 4 is that I was too busy to lose weight. Too busy, too important, too much to do to lose weight. Now, 32-year-old Carla who was telling herself this, and 36-year-old Carla, for me and me now, the level of busyness, it is like, there is no comparison. I thought I was busy until I became a business owner and a mom, and I'm not saying that people who are not business owners and not mothers are not busy. I'm saying that me before was not busy. I used to have a lot more spare time than I do now, but it's how I chose to use my time was not conducive to the life that I wanted to live. And it was definitely an excuse for me, because yes, I was a senior manager, but honestly, were there other things that I could have given up in order to, get the time to lose weight? Absolutely. I was able to sit down and watch 4 hours of TV, 3 to 4 hours of TV a night. I did the Body Sims program as part of my weight loss journey, and that involved, a couple of hours to watch the seminar a week, 1 hour walking a day, food planning, calorie counting, that kind of thing. Not really that crazy in terms of the commitment of time. I would recommend doing the timing audit, like how you spend your time audit. I think it's Marie Folio who talks a lot about it. I'll leave her book linked down below. It's excellent. She talks about, we always say that we don't have time to do things, but when you actually write down your time, I think it's a 2-week audit that you do, or a 2-day, I think it's 2-week, where you write down every single thing that you do. And if you actually go and examine how much time we spend doing nothing, there is a vacuum of time, even for me now, I know, between when Brannock goes to bed and when I actually get into bed. There are a few things that I have to do, but there also just seems to be this wasteland of time. And it's the same, we can all use our time more efficiently and actually have time for rest and relaxation and fun when we're not wasting our times on things that we don't want to do. I used to watch so much TV. so much TV. I probably now, I have an iPad, so I'll watch a little bit while I'm doing something else, but I wouldn't sit down and dedicate more than maybe one evening a week to watching a movie or something like that. And when I removed that kind of thing, I found other ways to relax, you know, like either walking or just going for, you know, like having a chat with somebody, or reading, or dancing for me is a much better way now that I'd rather spend my time, because it's giving back to me. When I realized that you know, the what I perceived as no time was actually tons of time. It was just being used in places that I didn't really want to use it in, or I thought I wanted to use it in, and now I realize I didn't. So having something that gave me structure, and creating structure, and finding ways to make it work. So I still lost weight postpartum. So I was, you know, I had to lose 40, I chose to lose 40 pounds. And it was difficult because I had a newborn, and there was a lot going on, but I had postnatal depression. I was overcoming that. I was in therapy, you know, even more than I had been when I was losing weight originally. But I found ways to prioritize my time, because it was a priority for me to lose weight. It was a priority because I wanted to feel really good for myself. So I found a way to do that. And then excuse number 5 is that I told myself consistently, and told anybody that listened, that diets don't work, or at least they do not work for me. I physically cannot lose weight. Now, I understand that that was coming from a huge place of fear, but also it was coming because I basically had confirmation bias. When we tell ourselves and tell the world something repeatedly, we only seek out the information that makes our view valid, if that makes sense. It's to do with the reticular activating system. So if you say, don't think of a red car, you'll think of a red car. If you buy a Volkswagen, you'll see Volkswagens everywhere because you're aware of that. If you, like Jared and Body Sense talk about, like if you're going looking for snakes or you go looking for fruit or eggs, you're going to find whichever you go looking for, because you're more focused on that than you are on the other thing and the other opportunities. So by telling myself consistently that I wasn't going to lose weight, and then trying some fad diet or some BS thing, or not understanding the importance and role of mental health in losing weight, and what role that can play and how significant that is, I basically was feeding my own narrative that diets don't work, you can't lose weight. Diets don't work, you can't lose weight. Diets don't work, you can't lose weight. Because every Monday morning I would start a new diet, and every Monday night, Tuesday night, the next week, that Saturday, whatever it might be, I would have fallen off the wagon, or, I'm using this again loosely, but I would have dropped it, it wouldn't have worked. I wouldn't have succeeded. And that's because for a couple of reasons, as I said, I didn't understand what true weight loss was. So, I was signed up to these huge weight loss programs that benefit from you coming back and failing, telling you, oh, you only lost, a pound, and then you put on a pound and all this kind of stuff, basically weight maintenance. I was signed up to them, and I didn't understand any other way. I was, going to the gym constantly trying to lose weight, but not eating right and lifting really heavy weights to try and lose weight. It's not conducive. And I was, I was really white knuckling it through, because I hadn't worked any part on my mental health. I hadn't figured out the correlation between mental health and weight loss. And so, of course, I was self-actualizing that narrative that I cannot lose weight, because every attempt that I had prior failed. But it failed for so many other reasons. But then when I saw somebody like my sister lose weight, and then I had my realization, and I found ways that seemed to actually genuinely work, I thought maybe I could do this. And obviously I could lose weight, and diets do work. But it depends on your circumstances and what you're doing around it. And that was an excuse that I had to give up, that I can't lose weight. I had to have a leap of faith, try something different, try a new way, either a new way or be in a new stance. So that's really important. So either you are, you know, a new person, or you are like, you've changed something in you, or you're trying something new. It has to be one of those, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you know, whatever program it is, whatever way, it's not going to work. You know, if you're the same person who's doing the same thing repeatedly, something either has to trigger in you to change. Either it's inspiration, desperation, whether you have realized the reason that you're overweight or something along those lines, or you're just gone, I am done. Or you've tried a new way, and the new way is really suiting who you are at that time. And it's a soup, as I've called it before, a recipe for soup, for weight loss soup. We have to find the recipe to make it work. Or maybe for cake. So let's face it, cakes rise. And if those ingredients aren't right, that cake ain't gonna rise. Guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed this one. I've had fun filming this, honestly. I thought it was really interesting to look back and see those different excuses that I had for myself, and again, treating myself with compassion and kindness to say, you know, yes, they were excuses. That's okay. You didn't know any better. You were scared. That's okay. It's understandable. And finding ways to get through them and to turn those excuses into challenges and see how can I overcome that, and remind ourselves and remind myself that I'm actually, you know, pretty capable, pretty much a badass. So, and you are too, believe me, you're a badass. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have made it to the end of this video, please leave me a fox emoji for Monsieur Fa, who is sitting behind me, who is Brannock's, one of Brannock's favourite teddies, Monsieur Fa, and this is Plume, the pork. But yeah, leave me a fox emoji if you've made it to the end of the video, and please make sure you are subscribed, like this video, share it. Every time you guys do anything like that, it helps out this channel, helps it to grow, helps to build this community. And what an amazing community you guys are. I love seeing your comments and your interactions, and you're just wonderful, beautiful people. So thank you so much. And guys, I will love you and leave you. Do not forget to show up for yourselves. Bye, guys. Am I 36 or am I 37? I think I'm 37. No, I'm 36. What age am I? Anyway, take the kitties to the vet today. It's been a bit traumatic for them, so I overhauled my mental health. Got disturbed by a train.